Hello and welcome back. We are at Francois's house today. Francois.
Hi there, how are you guys?
And the reason for that, as you will have seen from the description, is there's a weird noise on the back of the 370Z. And we're trying to figure out what is causing it. We've determined so far that it comes from the left back wheel. Hence, we are taking off wheels to inspect.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, Graham, so where are we now?
So on closer inspection, Francois, the pads probably have about 40% life left in them. They're definitely not due for replacement. So Francois, we've also inspected the caliper, and we really cannot see anything wrong with the caliper or anything that will cause that type of a noise.
And it was tight, there was no loose bolts.
Everything tight, really tight, no loose bolts, nothing out of place. However,
Spacers, you checked them?
spacers were tight. I had to use a breaker bar to get them off. What we did find, and now to get this thing off, give me a second and I'll be back with you.
A few minutes later.
So Francois, what we did find that's a bit concerning. Okay, so, worth mentioning, earlier on the test drive, what I noticed was if I stop the car using the handbrake, which these shoes inside here is for the handbrake, they break up inside there. We don't get that noise when we pull off. But every time that I use the brakes, for whatever reason, I get that noise. So we are fairly convinced that whatever causes the noise has got to do with the normal braking system somehow. What is really concerning, okay, and I mean, to be fair, this car has done 160,000 kilometers, which is 100,000 miles. It's not a new car. But look at this. I really hope you can see this on the camera. That's probably 1 to 2 millimeters of ridge on the inside of the disc here. And a similar situation on the outside of the disc. So irrespective of whether this is causing the noise or not, they're getting replaced. So we really won't be able to go much further with this project today. I think we're going to hit the internet, look at what's available, and buy some spares before we carry on.
Several bad puns later.
How's it, Francois, and welcome back. It's obviously the next day, well, a couple of days later, and we went shopping. So hit the internet, looked at a couple of different options, and I decided that what we need is ventilated, slotted discs. I specifically didn't want to go with cross-drill discs because I've heard too many stories about cross-drilled discs cracking and actually becoming a consumable item. We also considered a couple of different options, and being the beginning of the year, one of the things that hampered us is that not very many companies are open in South Africa at this time of year. But the people at Power Brake are open, and they had stock of the bad boys that we need. So we decided to replace all 4 discs. We don't really want to mess around. Brakes are, if I had to choose between brakes and tires, I would take mediocre tires with good brakes, because brakes are just that much more important to me. And I've been on a track where the brakes failed. It's not fun. Let me just show you these. There's a bit of a weight difference. So obviously the dimensions are exactly the same. being that they're going to be a straight replacement for this car. So there's no difference in terms of dimension. And the surface area here is basically the same on account of same story. You can see where these ones are wearing and the surface that's available for this to wear. Just overall a much nicer design. Performance brakes, they are built to work a little bit harder, and of course the slots that we've got here will dissipate heat a lot better, and we're hoping to get a lot better stopping power. So we have a set of OEM replacement pads for the front. Through the GTR and Z Club, we received an offer a couple of months ago, and I bought a couple of extra sets of OEM, but I didn't have OEM replacements for the back. Now, although they're only half worn, Francois, it's always a good idea to, if you're going to replace discs, to also replace the pads. You don't want to put old pads onto new discs and vice versa. Because they wear together, and on any disc that you're going to look at, you'll see there's a wear pattern on that disc, and the pad sort of cuts into that. So if you take a really badly worn disc and you put a new pad on that, what's going to happen is that pad is going to very quickly take on the shape of the disc, and you're not going to get the life out of the pad that you're supposed to get. Whereas, same story, if you put a bad pad onto a new disc, it's going to transfer that onto the disc. Now these discs, and this is one thing that's amazed me about the Zs, as long as I've owned Zs, and this is my third one. The wear on everything is just perfect. I mean, these discs have been there for many thousands of kilometers, a number of track days. I did the Samola hill climb on these discs, and they're perfect. And this is the original
Nissan.
Yeah, this is the original Nissan OEM discs that came with the car. I mean, aside from the obvious wear.
I still wonder if they just don't rebrand the Brembo discs. So, yeah, interesting.
Probably. Although, when I picked up these discs from Power Brake, the gentleman at Power Brake pointed out to me that we thought that these calipers on these cars are Brembo calipers that's rebranded. They're not. Now I can't remember the name of the specific, but it's also very high performance calipers that was built for these cars. So on the 350Zs, like your HR, we've got Brembo calipers. These are also 6-pod on the front, and I think
two pods.
2-pod or 4 pods at the back.
2 pods.
They're 2 pods. They're 2 pods at the back. Yes. So they're proper performance brakes, but not Brembo.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's pop these guys on quickly, and then we can see if we've gotten rid of our clunking, clacking, very concerning noise.
A lot of boring math later.
Right, and about, what was that? Hour and a half? 2.5. 2.5 hours later. Because Francois insists that everything has to be cleaned with brake parts cleaner. Okay, I agree. And all 4 discs replaced, all the pads replaced. And because of the bedding in process, we're now going to go drive around the block very slowly to see if we still hear that clucking noise from the left back wheel. Let's see. Right guys, and for legal reasons, I have to conclude this video here in my garage, because I had to destroy a lot of the footage that we did create. I told you guys that my wife is one of the most clever people that I know on this planet. Second only probably to France. My wife told me a number of times, just change the wheels, try different rims, phone Francois and ask him if you can get the rims of the 350Z. And I basically dismissed her suggestion with things like, it cannot possibly be the tire. Tires don't make that noise. Rims cannot make that noise. They are solid. The 350Z rims won't fit on my car. Thinking of every single possibility rather than just saying, honey, great idea, let's try that out. I basically phoned up Johannes at Club 23 and I said to him, Johannes, get me quotes. I need to replace the entire back suspension on this car because I drive fast. I drive really, really fast. Only on a track though. I don't ever exceed the speed limit on public roads. We don't do that. But I drive really fast, and I cannot afford a car that doesn't have perfect suspension. It just is what it is. And while they were getting me pricing, I decided I've got nothing to lose. Let me just go back to the tire shop. Got there, explained the situation to the boss man, and said to him, I would like for them to please strip off the left back tire where they repaired the puncture. They explained to me that the guy who helped me that previous time was fired because of bad attitude, and they got someone else who stripped the rim off, or the tire off, who promptly told me that there's nothing wrong there, but I insisted on actually seeing it for myself. And as I looked at the tire, I found a little rim weight inside the tire that was just flying around inside there, and obviously with centrifugal force it would sit on the outside of the rim, and every time I stopped it would just drop in. Don't ask me about the handbrake thing, I cannot explain it. The tire shop promptly confiscated the little rim weight, and also insisted that I delete all the footage that I collected while I was there, which I'm not really happy about. In any case, we learned 3 lessons. Number 1, don't have an argument with the guy that's going to work on your tires, because they will drop a little tire weight inside there for you, which could cost you many thousands of rands or dollars. 2, listen to your wife. And 3, life is too short to drive boring cars. See you in the next one.